Going to start with what you are going to need for this tutorial. Let's start with the yarn you are going to need. I will be using Yarn and Colors Charming yarn. In each ball of yarn is 50 grams and 115 meters, and this is 75% cotton and 25% acrylic. There are two types of Yarn and Colors Charming yarn. Just make sure you are using 75% cotton and 25% acrylic, because the other one looks a little bit different, and this one is actually 68% cotton and 32% acrylic. So they are not the same, but as you can see, both of them are Yarn and Colors Charming yarn. So I'm going to use this one. I picked 4 colors for my pattern, so my baby blanket, and I will be using blue, orange, beige and pink, and each segment takes more or less 1 full ball of yarn to finish. So there are 8 color transitions, so you are going to need 8 balls of this yarn. So, and you can use any color you want or create the whole pattern, so the whole design in just one color, whichever way you prefer, as long as you have enough yarn. So the next thing you are going to need is a crochet hook. I'm going to use 5mm or number 8 crochet hook, scissors, a large tapestry needle, and of course stitch markers. For one finished segment, you are going to need 1 ball of yarn, and it's going to be tied, so you are going to play chicken with yarn a little bit. That is why I recommend 1 additional skein of each color. And once you finish the blanket, if you are going to still have a lot of yarn, you can go on my website and search for baby bonnets and use that yarn for baby bonnets. You are going to have enough, but it's better to be safe than sorry, and I really recommend 1 additional skein per color. Not all the yarn balls have the same amount of yarn in them, and it might happen you won't have enough. You can also buy 8 skeins of yarn, just the amount you need for this blanket, and later buy more if you're going to need more. But if you are buying online and you are paying for the shipping, I really recommend 1 additional ball for each color, and like I've mentioned, you can later use it for something totally different. So if we look at what we have a little bit closer, you will see that we have 5 puff stitches, and those 5 puff stitches are actually increases in the pattern. And then we have 6 double crochet 2 together stitches, and those 6 double crochet 2 together stitches are actually decreases in our pattern. So increases and decreases, and that is going to give us this wavy look, so like we have waves. And that's 1 row, and the second row is just a bunch of single crochet stitches. So 1 single crochet made into each stitch from the row below. And I'm going to show you how to create row 1 and how to create row 2, and then you're going to continue and create a blanket. Okay, so now we are going to start working on our blanket. I'm going to start with the pink yarn, but you can start with any color you want. And I am going to create a small sample like this one here with just 2 waves. So I'm going to start with the smaller foundation chain, but you are going to start with the foundation chain made of 119 chains, and then you are going to add 2 chains to lift the row to a proper height. So because we have double crochet stitches, we need 2 chains, so the row is going to be high enough. First 2 chains are going to be our turning chains and not the first stitch of the row, so we are going to skip those chains at the beginning and at the end of the rows. Alright, so let's start with the sample. You start with 119 stitches, and I'm going to start with a little bit less. Alright, so let's start with the foundation chain, cross the yarn, and create a slip knot. So pull the yarn through like this, insert the hook into the slip knot, tighten the knot, and then start with the foundation chain. So you are going to have to create 119 stitches plus 2 additional stitches for your turning chain, and I'm going to create less, so 34 I guess, plus 2. Alright, I have 34 stitches and I'm going to create 2 more. 1, 2. And you have to have 119 stitches plus 2 additional stitches. If you look at your foundation chain, you can see that it has 2 sides. One side is the side with 2 loops and one side is the side with just 1 loop. And we are going to use the side with just 1 loop, and those loops are called back bumps. And why we are going to do that is because if we use the front loops, then you are just going to see the 1 loop at the bottom of your blanket. But if you work into back bumps, then you will see that both sides, so both ends of your work are exactly the same. And it's nothing wrong if you decide to work into just one of those loops. That's perfectly fine if you prefer that way, but I am going to create my first row into back bumps. So we are going to skip 1, 2 stitches because those 2 are our turning chains, and we are going to yarn over and insert the hook into the 3rd back bump. I know it's really hard to see, so I'm going to show you one more time. So we have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here, and those 2 are going to be our turning chain, and we are going to start working into the 3rd one. And our first stitch is going to be double crochet 2 together stitch. So yarn over, insert this the hook into the 3rd back bump from your crochet hook and pull the yarn through. So now we have 1, 2, 3 loops on our crochet hook. Yarn over and pull the yarn through first 2. So what you are going to do now is you are going to yarn over, insert the hook into the next one, pull the yarn through, and do the same thing. And as you can see here, this is our turning chain, but those 2 are 2 legs of the double crochet 2 together stitch. We are going to finish the stitch with yarn over and pull the yarn through, and this is our first double crochet 2 together stitch. We are going to create 2 more, so yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, pull the yarn through, pull the first 2, so this is our first leg. And then we are going to yarn over again and do the same thing here. All right, so we have 1, 2, and pull the yarn through. 1 more. All right, and those are our first 3 double crochet 2 together stitches. And I'm going to take a stitch marker and I'm going to insert the stitch marker into the top of the first stitch right here. And that is because it's much easier for me to see the stitches and see where is the start and where is the beginning of the next row. All right, so we have first 3 stitches, and what we are going to do now is we are going to chain 1. And we are not going to skip any stitches here at the bottom, but we are going to create 1 chain, because let me show you. We started right here, and those 3 stitches here are the decreases, and those stitches here are the increases in the pattern. We are going to continue with 5 stitches, so 5 puff stitches, and in between those stitches we are going to create chains. you are going to yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, pull the yarn through. You have 1, 2, 3. You are going to yarn over again and pull the yarn through that same stitch again, and we are going to do that one more time. Yarn over through the same stitch and pull through. Alright, so now we have a bunch of loops on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what we are going to do now is just yarn over and pull the loop through first 6. And then once again and through the last. Okay, so let me show you one more time and a little bit closer. Chain 1, yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch. Don't skip any stitches or chains here at the bottom. Insert, pull the yarn through. You have 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, that will add one additional loop. Insert the hook into the same stitch and pull the yarn through. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now yarn over again through the same loop and pull through, and now you have 7 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over and pull the loop through first 6 and then through the last one. All right, and create 3 more. So don't forget to make chains between those stitches. All right, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see here we have a decrease and here we have an increase, because you can see this is the start of our wave. We are going to continue with the decreases. So once again, you have 3 double crochet 2 together stitches, then 1 chain, puff stitch, 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 and then chain. And now we are going to create 6 double crochet 2 together stitches. So yarn over, insert the hook into the first chain and create a first leg of the double crochet 2 together stitch, then the second leg, and join those 2 together. All right, that was the first one. All right, so, and now as you can see, here is down, and then it goes up and then down again. If you're working on a baby blanket, then you are going to repeat this segment. So from this chain all the way up to this double crochet 2 together stitch 6 times. So you have to repeat this part here 6 times all together. So you will have this double crochet 2 together stitch, you will do that first, and then you are going to create this segment and 5 of those segments more. And after that you are going to end with 5 puff stitches and then 3 double crochet 2 together stitches, which I'm going to create here because that is my end of the foundation chain. But because you are working on a larger piece, you are going to repeat this part 5 more times, so that you are going to have 6 waves altogether. So let me show you on a large piece here what you are going to have. We started with double crochet 2 together stitches and we have 3 of those, and then we continued with the puff stitches and with double crochet stitches. So this is the first segment I was talking about. This is the second one, the third one, this is the fourth one, this is the fifth one, and this is the last one, and this is the 6th one. All right, so yeah, from here to here, and then we have puff stitches, and then we end with double crochet 2 together stitch 3 times. So now we are going to start with chain 1 and with the first puff stitch, and we are going to create 5 of them. So we finished our 5 puff stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We added 1 chain at the end, and now I'm going to create, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains left, and I'm going to create 3 double crochet 2 together stitches in those 6 chains. First leg of the first double crochet 2 together stitch, that's the first one. Alright, and that is the last one. Okay, so that is what I have now, but your foundation chain was way longer than mine, and of course you have more waves than I do here. But that is how it looks right now, and that is the end of our first row of the decreases and increases. So the double crochet 2 together stitches and puff stitches. Now we are going to create our second row, and in our second row we are going to create a bunch of single crochet stitches. Those stitches are very simple, very easy to make, and you are going to create them in each and every single part of the first row. So you are going to use double crochet 2 together stitches, you are going to use puff stitches, and you are going to use chains as well. So we are going to use everything. However, just skip the chain here, because this chain here is a turning chain and is just here to lift the row to a proper height and nothing else. So we don't use those turning chains at the beginning of the rows. So what we are going to create now, because our next row is made of single crochet stitches, those stitches are not very tall, so we are going to create our turning chain made of just 1 chain. So 1 chain is going to be enough. We are going to create 1 chain like this, and then we are going to start, as you can see here, this is our chain, and this here is our first stitch. A little bit closer. So this is our chain, so turning chain, and this is our first stitch. And let me show you how to create a single crochet stitches if you're not familiar with single crochet stitches. All you have to do is insert the hook into the stitch under both loops, as you can see here, and grab the yarn on the other side and pull the yarn through. Now you have 2 loops on your crochet hook. Just grab the yarn and pull the yarn through both loops on your hook, and that is your single crochet stitch. It's that simple. Now I'm going to take the stitch marker and I'm going to insert the stitch marker here into the first stitch of the row, like this. Now we are going to continue with our stitches, and we are going to work 1 single crochet stitch into each stitch all the way across. So in your case, that is going to be 119 stitches, and in my case, that is going to be just 34, I guess. So, and those 2 rows are the whole pattern, because you are, from now on, you are going to repeat just those 2 rows, and you will be able to complete the pattern. So, start with single crochet stitches. So we are going to create 1 single crochet stitch on the top of each double crochet 2 together stitch. And now here you can see this is the chain 1, and what I usually do is I just insert the hook into that big hole, and then I grab the yarn on the other side and create a single crochet stitch. I don't insert my hook into the chain because it's usually pretty hard to do that, so I am working around the chains. But I'm going to insert the hook into the puff stitch and yeah, work as I would work into every other stitch. And again, we have 1 chain, and I'm going to create a stitch around that chain and continue. Make sure you don't skip any stitches from the row below, because you don't want to lose any stitches, because each and every single stitch here is a very important for your pattern. And yeah, just make sure you are working into all of them. Alright, so here we are at the end of the second row. You can see that this was our first row made with double crochet 2 together stitches and with puff stitches and chains. And this was our second row, and that row was made of single crochet stitches. Now what you are going to do now is you are going to repeat those 2 rows 4 more times. So each color will have 5 repeats, so 10 rows in total. And after 10 rows or 5 repeats of those 2 rows, you are going to switch the color if you want. In my pattern, I am switching colors every 10 rows, but you can use just 1 color or even more than 4 colors. It's totally up to you, but I'm just telling you when to switch the colors so you will know. So if you finished all 10 rows, this is how your work probably looks like. Of course, you have more waves than I do here, but this is the height of 10 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we are going to change the color. Unfortunately, we will have to go a little bit back. So I am going to frog that last stitch, and I am going to show you what to do next. So we are going to insert the hook into the stitch and grab the yarn on the other side and pull the yarn through. Now you have 2 loops on your crochet hook, and we are going to wait with that for a little bit, and I am going to continue with that color. So I am going to continue with orange. Now you have 2 loops. What I usually do is I just put that yarn over my finger, you know, just to create a loop, and then I grab the yarn with the hook, still holding it with my 2 fingers here, and then I pull the loop through. All right. So at this very moment, everything is a little bit loose and hard to work with, but stay with me. Okay, now we are going to create chain 2 because we are going to start with the row right like this one here. So with the row made of double crochet stitches and puff stitches. So I am going to chain 2 for the turning chain. I'm going to pull those loops, and then I'm going to turn my work. All right. So don't miss that first stitch, because that is actually your first stitch. That is your turning chain, and that is your first stitch. And we are going to use that first stitch for 1 leg of the double crochet 2 together stitch. So let's do that. Yarn over, insert the hook into the first stitch, grab the yarn and pull it through, and grab the yarn and pull it through. Okay, so this is the first leg. And now yarn over again and continue with the second stitch, the second leg, and then grab the yarn and pull it through both loops. So this is your first double crochet 2 together stitch. As so many times before, I'm going to take the stitch marker and I'm going to insert that stitch marker into that very first stitch. Now what I'm going to do with those yarns, I am going to cut that purple one, don't cut the orange one, so don't cut the new yarn, the old one. And then once I'm done, I am going to hide those yarn tails between the stitches. Alright, now I am going to continue with double crochet 2 together stitches like this, and then continue with chains and puff stitches. And as you can see here, it's the same pattern, everything is the same as it was so many rows before. So you have to repeat row 1 and row 2 now 10 more times, so you build up 10 rows again with that color, and then you pick another color and 10 rows and another color and 10 rows. So I'm using 4 colors, but I have 8 color transitions. So let me show you my blanket one more time so you will see. We started with pink, then so 10 rows with pink, 10 rows with orange, 10 rows with blue, and 10 rows with beige. And then again 10 rows with pink, 10 rows with orange, 10 rows with blue, and then I finished my blanket with 10 rows of beige yarn. There are so many different combinations you can use and try out, and this is very easy and very versatile pattern. You can use this stitch pattern which I showed you. So this segment here from let me show you again. So this segment here from puff stitches to the end of double crochet two together stitches, that's one segment, and that is 5 stitches here, and then you have 12 stitches here. And if you want to use this stitch pattern, you just need that segment and continue repeating that segment as many times as you need, and you can use that stitch pattern for almost anything. You can use it for a pillow cover, you can use it for a cardigan, you can use it for a sweater. So anything you can imagine. It's really nice, and it's very textured, and I really like it. So I would recommend it if for other projects as well. I was thinking of creating a crochet cardigan for myself in the future. So I will see how that will go, but for now this blanket. And yeah, I am going to leave the links, so all the links for everything mentioned in the video in the description box below, and as well as the PDF pattern. The PDF pattern is going to have additional sizes. So as I told you so many times before, this one segment is going to be repeated more times, and the rows are going to be repeated more times. You can do the calculations yourself, but if you want to support my work, you can actually get everything in the PDF pattern. One other thing is you can join us on Patreon and get the access for behind the scenes of what is happening in the studio. Yeah, all right, that would be all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. If you created this blanket, tag me on Instagram, send me a photo. I would love to see it. It's so inspiring seeing your work using my crochet patterns. It's a really nice thing. It's always so nice to see your work. And yeah, that would be all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting my work, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.